What's going on, everybody? Midnight back again, and I'm here with a special video because, well, Blizzard has dropped a nuclear warhead on add-ons, specifically weak auras. Uh, Look at the nonsense that you've seen on people's UIs over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. World of Warcraft turned into a Christmas tree of panic alarms, spell timers, and homework assignments. And people are mad that Blizzard's finally pulling the plug. I'm celebrating. Weak auras are dead in Midnyte, and honestly, good riddance. Listen, if you can't play without weak auras, maybe you never learned how to actually play the game. Blizzard finally did it. In Midnyte, they're locking down the combat API. That means no more add-ons reading every microsensed combat data, no more weak auras telling you when to breathe. The devs said it's to reduce automation and make fights more about awareness again. And I say it's about time. The same people that are crying about player freedom are the ones that need a pop-up to tell them, hey, champ, your trinket's off cooldown. Congratulations, you've been playing Simon Says, not World of Warcraft. Weak auras used to be a cool tool. It really did. And then it became mandatory homework. If you didn't have the latest raid pack installed, people acted like you showed up to an exam naked. Raid leaders literally kicked players because their weak auras weren't up to date. That's not skill, that's dependency. This happens when every boss mechanic screams in your face. You stop thinking. When a weak aura pops up, you just stop thinking. You don't make decisions. You stop reading animations. You stop looking around the room. You stop playing the game. You just follow glowing arrows or icons that tell you when and where to stand and when to do it. The best players don't need a pop-up to know what's happening. They watch, they react, they understand the fight. Weak auras turned everyone into button-pressing robots. That's exactly what it did. Everything's blowing up right now on the internet. It's blowing up. Healers are calling it the apocalypse. Raiders are saying the game's going to be unplayable. Unplayable because you can't import someone else's script into wago.io. I mean, you actually have to use your eyes and brain again. Tragic. You have to start communicating and making decisions with your friends. And this is what's really upsetting me. Because in guilds that I've been in, there are people over the last 7, 8, 9 years that just don't want to talk anymore. They mute their microphones. They become these other robots in the game that you're playing with that you never get to know and learn how to function with in a community or in a team. And that's what World of Warcraft raiding is all about. It's all about the teamwork. If you're dependent upon weak auras, I'm just going to say this. You're not a good player. You're a well-trained parrot. And the worst part, you probably thought you were elite. You probably still think you are, but you're not. You're just a well-trained parrot. Blizzard's finally showing some backbone. I'm really proud of them. After years of letting the add-on ecosystem just babysit the player base, they finally said enough. And they're tightening the rules. They're simplifying the API, and they're building better native tools into the default UI. Is it going to be as good as the add-ons? No, because Blizzard wants you to have specific information now instead of another script telling you everything. They want to make the game about actual skill and reaction again, not who can download the most optimized weak aura pack. And if that offends you, maybe it's time to realize that you've been outsourcing your gameplay to a Lua script. Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Weak auras hid how bad most players really are. It's spoon-fed mechanics, rotations, and cooldowns so that even mediocre players look decent until something changed. Then they froze because the add-on didn't tell them what to do next. And I see this all the time. When I was raiding in a mid-tier mythic guild in Dragonflight, one of the things that I noticed was we were able to overcome a lot of obstacles with the exception of a few players that even with the weak auras, we're still just not very good at the game. And we ended up just having all these super punishing mechanics because we were able to handle it with weak auras. But the 2 or 3 other players that we were essentially carrying that weren't even AOTC quality, once they finally had a pull where they didn't make a mistake, we could actually kill the boss. So if Midnyte launches with half the raid scene collapsing for a few weeks, maybe that's healthy. Maybe it's time for a skill reset. Because personally, I think that right now players are playing above a skill level that they actually are. I think that most Mythic Raiders are barely AOTC. I think that most AOTC Raiders could barely handle normal without all this help. I mean, it's just a fact. My prediction is that people are going to adapt. The good players are, like they always do. The ones who can't, they'll quit. And I'm fine with that. I don't want players in my guild that mute their microphones and never talk and just need to download something to tell them what to do and when to do it. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get back a version of WoW where awareness, reaction time, and instincts actually matter again. And that's what's most important. That's what people miss about Miss Pandaria, Cataclysm, TBC, Wrath, Vanilla, you name it. They miss the fact that they actually had to get into voice chat, talk, come up with strategies, and work it with your team. So I'm happy that weak wars are gone. And it had a good run, but it made the game worse. That's just a fact of the matter is. If you can't handle raiding without it, maybe you could never handle raiding at all. So let's get back to playing World of Warcraft, not World of Add-on Craft. Drop a comment below if you disagree. I know you will, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree. Hit like if you're tired of playing whack-a-mole with add-ons, and subscribe if you want more rants about what Blizzard's actually doing. And I'll be back for Midnyte to play the game the way it was meant to be played. See you guys.